You can't act on it tonight.
Oh, okay.
There's a problem. I'll brief you on.
Everybody ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'll call the May 13 meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. We have two public hearings still open, Haymarket Baptist Church site plan waivers and the Historic District overlay revisions. If anybody wishes to speak to the matter, please come forward. Seeing none, Mr. Schneider, status on both of these.
With the final site plan, the hearing was for the site plan waivers, which were for the landscaping, the perimeter landscaping associated with the project. Two outstanding items were the review of the Sanitation Authority and also VDOT. That review has been delayed. The Sanitation Authority, I think last week, gave their approval. Now waiting on the final approval of VDOT. There's an issue of the entrances for the site plan matching up with the enhancement project entrances. So we anticipate VDOT having, knock on wood, give it their blessing next week. It'll be ready for action by the commission. There's a 60-day timeline with which the commission needs to make its recommendation to council, unless the applicant otherwise extends the deadline. And that's the email that I passed out to you, is them agreeing to extend that deadline until the June 14th meeting. Typically, we have these approvals in hand before it would go on your agenda. We had felt confident that that was going to happen before it got on your agenda. It did not, and for that I apologize. So we expect to, again, have that review completed for June. And then it'll go from you to the council.
Status on the Historic District overlay?
I had, last month, a couple of things. One, the map that we discussed last month, that included those revisions in your packet. Also, too, there was a question we had through several of the discussions about the status of, or the ability to qualify for certified local government. We did finally get a follow-up email from the state basically saying you would not have to change your current boundaries to be a part of that. And I've included that email in the packet. Also, too, last month, I discussed with you the state recommended language for model ordinance for the historic district. Once I started to dive into it, realized it was quite a bit of work, so I wanted to get your feedback before I spent a lot of staff time on revamping the entire historic district overlay ordinance.
So for the purposes of disposition, we're not ready to go tonight, or probably won't be ready to go tonight.
On that one, no. I needed your direction on how far I dump into it.
In that case, if there's no objection, we'll hold the public hearing open again on the historic district overlay revision. Any objection? The clerk hold that one open for one more month. Haymarket Baptist Church. Personally, I'm not terribly inclined to give them yet another 30-day extension. This has been hanging out in the wind for 90 days. In the interest of keeping the peace, however, I will accept it, or I'm willing to accept it if there's no objection to accepting it, and give them another month. But I will be honest with you, this is the last extension. If the paperwork that was supposed to have been here 3 months ago is not here for the June meeting, it's going to be my inclination to send the entire package back to the applicant with the instructions to resubmit at such time as they have a complete package as they should have in January.
I will make them aware of that, Mr. Chairman.
And to that end, I would appreciate it if we don't have a similar circumstance to this in the future, because quite frankly, it's eating up a whole lot more time than I'm willing to invest in it. That being said, if there's no objection, we'll go ahead and accept the, actually I think we're going to have to move on this as an agenda item. But at this point in time, if there's no objection, we'll hold the hearing open for another month on the Haymarket Baptist Church site plan waivers until such time as the site plan is actually in hand and complete. Is there an objection to that?
No objection.
Instruct the clerk to advertise it again next month.
Just to comment on next meeting is not the 14th, it's the 10th.
It's the 10th.
I believe. Yeah.
Whatever the truth is.
Just a clarification.
As long as it's longer than shorter. So.
I have no announcements. You have an update from the ARB or from the council?
No, the ARB actually, most of what we're doing is basic stuff, and also Ken is working with the state for entry signs, and he has not gotten pricing yet, but that is in process.
Madam Mayor.
Work should start on daytime playtime, so we can move the police department into it sometime this week. Renovations are starting to proceed with the old post office, so.
Citizens' time. Any citizen wishes to address the planning commission, please come forward. Seeing only one candidate not rising, we'll close citizens' time. Minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from the April 8th, 2013 meeting.
For a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Construction permit, zoning permit application, 6777 Fayette Street, fence. Mr. Schneider.
Mr. Chairman, we have two fence standards, a front yard fence of 4 feet in height and a rear yard fence of 6 feet in height. This application meets the ordinance standard pursuant to 58-13C.
Discussion? Entertain a motion.
I make the motion to, let's see. Permit ZP 20130415 for 6777 Fayette Street in accordance with 58-13-3.
I'm sorry, C.
C.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay. Construction permits 14979 Kiwi Place, fence.
Chairman, similar to the application just reviewed, it also matches the section 5813C.
Discussion? Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve. ZP 201-30410 at 14979 to replace in accordance with 5813C.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. 6701 Leeberry Avenue, Food Line banner.
This is actually an unusual circumstance where someone actually submits a permit for a banner. This is for a 30-day banner for Food Line, and it's actually already been installed. But under our ordinance, we would review this under 58-342 subsection 1. We do recommend approval of the application. That is a temporary sign with a permit, more than 14 days.
It says here it's only for the period 5/15 to 5/29.
Yes, sir.
Discussion? Entertain a motion?
I motion to approve zoning permit ZP 20130-418 for Food Lion at 6701 Leeberry Avenue in accordance with 58-342-1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. 6590 Jefferson Street, business license, I'm assuming?
This is a zoning permit. This came before you last month. There was a question about using this building for a commercial use. This is for details for the home. It's the two barns that they have. You may remember about 3 or 4 months ago you approved another tenant that was supposed to go in the main building. It was one selling organic paints and wanted to do some antique refurbishing. She's actually set up shop in the first garage, or the center block garage. That wasn't the understanding of the original approval, and apparently there's some issues with how that building's wired and some other types of things.
I believe there's a grand opening sign. on
Exactly.
that building.
So we have an
they're
issue.
doing things.
Yes, and so this applicant wants to go in the barn right next door, which is also woefully inadequate for probably public occupancy. So I went back and looked through the ordinances. In both situations, they're going to require a site plan and additional parking to accommodate those two businesses. So I am going to follow up. I put an email into the building inspector just to see if the applicant was or the owner was so inclined to move forward, what it would require in terms of bathrooms, handicapped access, and the like, because neither building has public restrooms.
There isn't enough parking there. Oh, is there already?
No, there's not. So
Given the given those circumstances and the circumstances of the application we just spoke of, it's my impression that the application is therefore incomplete.
Yes.
In that case, without objection, I would like to instruct staff to return the application to the applicant, the instruction to complete it and submit all the required documentation before further consideration.
And the building inspector is going to review the building?
I think they're going to stop by, take a look at the building, and see what's required. I think with both applications, the assumption was they were in the main building, and then once we started asking more questions, it became apparent they wanted to be in the outbuildings. So,
Is there any objection to returning the application?
No.
Noted.
Instruct staff to return the application to the applicant.
Okay.
Which brings us to, we've already done that. New business. Does anybody have anything? Town planners report.
I think I may have mentioned last month the second sheet of ice for the ice rink has been submitted. Also, Haymarket Sportsplex has submitted a site plan amendments to enclose their loading bay on the backside of the building. And also, the Rose Building right behind it has also submitted a site plan to provide commercial parking for a conversion of their building. The Heathcote development rezoning, which was just north of town on the right side of Old Carolina, north of the bridge, that was approved by the Board of Supervisors last week. There's actually a proffer that will facilitate the pedestrian connection from Heathcote all the way down the east side of Old Carolina, and then we'll actually build a crosswalk at Jordan Lane to get back over to the west side of the road where the multi-use path is going to be across the bridge. So that was a success on our part to be able to negotiate that connection. So we do have a residential rezoning. We don't, but there was one proposed just north of Heathcote, just opposite the hospital. They want to convert A1 land, agricultural 1 acre land, to a higher density residential development. And that'll be going through
316
motions,
units
something like that.
on top of the Midwood 500 units or 200 units?
Yes.
Or whatever.
We also met with the representative of Midwood, that's the active adult community I may have mentioned. The plan amendment was initiated by the Board of Supervisors, and now the rezoning is to follow. And that'll be basically 600 units opposite of Walmart, on the south side of 55. So once that application comes in, I'll walk you guys through it. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Old business, Haymarket Baptist Church. Does their extension request require a motion
I don't believe
for
so.
acceptance? Okay. In that case, we will just defer further action on the Haymarket Baptist Church application to the June meeting. 15161 Washington Street, U-Haul. I'm assuming that's still on hold pending final disposition of Haymarket self-storage.
Yes, sir. I'll be updating you on that. It's the last item under old business. But if that ZTA were to go through, then that would allow the U-Haul business to retain part of its current operations.
All right, CIP, Madam Bear, I'm assuming this is your final draft version.
There was discussion in one of our work sessions on taking some of the public safety items out, but nothing has been formalized as of yet.
That's a decision that we have to make here this evening, so I think we need to get the CIP out of here. Want to walk through them one item at a time?
Are we just on public safety, or are we
Let's
starting?
start with general. It's only 4 pages. I don't think it's going to be much.
We can remove reserve study from consultation with legal. We are not required to have one.
Any objection to striking item 4? Hearing none, strike it. Reading. Oh,
When you get there, can you strike item 6?
That was next.
no, item 5, now item 4. Shared youth pass. That construction's not due to start until,
According to Holly, it won't start till next year.
yeah, but CIP generally you're looking at a 5-year window. I don't have any particular objection to leaving it in. bookmark or placeholder. I don't see much sense in just revisiting it and sticking it back in next year, so it's not like we're going to spend anything on it until the construction's done anyway, but it's probably a nice thing just to leave in there for future reference. Accounting and QuickBooks, reinstate and update.
We can strike 6.
Strike 6, is there any objection? Okay, where's item 7?
Just misnumbered, I guess.
Item 8, now item 5, town signage. Thoughts? This can be paid largely with profit funds, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any particular objections. Anybody else? Renumber item 5. Item 9, now number 6. This would seem to me it's more of an operational issue, but
Yeah, there's a budget category in there for office expenses, computer equipment,
yeah,
et cetera.
I don't see this as a CIP item.
We just agreed to buy one, well, quasi-agreed this week.
Without objection, strike item 9.
There was an additional one, not just the replacement for that one. It was to have an additional one in that office was the original intent.
Yeah, I comprehend that.
Okay.
Okay, quiet zone, installation of... I'm inclined to leave it in, although...
This is Marchand's baby.
Yeah, where are we at on that anyway?
I met with, why did I forget his name? Cole, Mr. Cole. Sat down, he walked me through the status and where the materials are today, so I'm to schedule a meeting with the various parties that are involved, and a lot of it has to do with when this bridge is going to open down here on 29.
Right.
So it's just kind of in a
Cue the
waiting
horn
period.
with the rain.
Yeah. The irony in things.
So,
If there's no objection, I just leave it on here. Then nothing else as a placeholder. So we've reduced it down from 10 to 6 on the general. Okay, public safety, telephone system,
That one can be eliminated. It's being covered in the cost of the move.
security system, same issue.
The camera system is not. There is a security system going in, but Chief's wish list was to have this on there. We can't cover that in this year's.
Just for your purposes, I think that number is going to be closer to 5 instead of 3.
Okay. I'll let Steve know.
Just for that doesn't include any of the infrastructure work, that's just for the other stuff.
That was a quote for when they were still at that building, so.
Okay, then without objection, we'll strike number 1, renumber 2 as 1, change it from security to surveillance system, and strike everything but the reference to the camera. Acceptable?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to change the amount?
That was the figure I was given when I made this months ago, so.
Item 3 now, number 2. I still find that to be an equipment issue.
Actually, will the chair allow me to entertain asking Vice Mayor Tobias a couple questions?
Certainly.
Do you remember which ones we were going to try to budget, which ones we took off of this?
Yeah, we were gonna try to budget the radar and
And the in-car computers, wasn't it?
in-car computers isn't a budget item. That's a talk to the county item. After talking to Jim recently, the only thing that I think that we're gonna really be looking at is the radar, and that's only probably one. Because everything's still, all the cars that are currently in use currently have a valid radar system that is in service.
In that case, we'll strike number 3. Renumber 4 as 2.
And something tells me 6 can be taken care of with the moving going on now.
Yeah.
7's not necessary any longer either.
Renumber,
Yeah, 7
renumber,
can-
let's take it. Renumber 5, the in-car cameras as 3. Leave it on as a wish list. Strike number 6.
And 7,
So,
And 8, because he's gonna budget that too.
yes. So it's 3 items.
7.
The again, 8's more of an equipment issue anyway.
8. So we've gone from 8 to 3. Yeah, I'm loving that. Museum, caboose.
Yeah. Just the
Move to street.
Second?
I was being facetious. I withdraw my motion. Then make a motion.
A little late for that.
No, it's not.
Yeah, we'll leave it there.
Yeah. Okay, so you will take my,
That's item-
you will take this version and have staff drafted for
council
submission
for
to
the
council?
final, yes.
I guess we have to actually move this. Entertain a motion to move the final version of the draft CIP to council with a recommendation for approval.
So moved?
Mayor, second.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. All right, you'll handle that for me. Historic overlay, district overlay, we're going to have to defer to next month, correct?
I do need direction from you.
Okay.
The ordinance, sample ordinance that I gave to you, I started to dig into it. I noticed some major differences that I wanted your feedback on before I jumped into it. So they have quite an extensive definitions as part of it. They go into more detail about the types of structures that they review. Pre-application meetings go into a more detailed review of the criteria of the council or the ARB. So I just wanted to share this with you and make sure that we wanted to jump in. Just by comparison, our ordinance today is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages versus this, which is almost 15 pages.
Does the language, does the model language preclude review of newer buildings? Or does it preclude review of any buildings? Or does it simply step up the level of review on all buildings within an historic?
Steps up the level of review on all
All
buildings.
buildings.
But it gives better guidance on minor maintenance. Takes out of their review, more clear on what they are supposed to review.
As opposed to what they're, does it delineate what they are not supposed to review?
Correct. Like this says very clearly, you're not supposed to review the interiors, only things that can be seen from a public street. It goes in a little more detail than that.
Okay.
But it's more clearly defined in terms of what their role and how they're supposed to be. The only thing that's different is this ordinance requires a public hearing for every certificate of appropriateness.
No, excuse me.
Which I'm not sure we
Strike
need to
that.
And also that our guidelines have to match the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. So, it kind of goes over the top to where you're dealing with a true historic district.
Can you find a happy medium?
I can, but wanted your direction on it before I dove into it. So,
Personally, I like the more defined direction
okay.
and the more defined responsibility, where it delineates what will be reviewed and what will not be reviewed. The public hearing part I could really do without. That's just
Yeah, definitely.
We're talking about what will be reviewed by
ARB.
ARB.
Correct.
The whole public hearing thing just adds to the transaction cost for each applicant, and I'm not really.
I don't want to have to pass that cost on to others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that that's really necessary in most instances.
Um,
You're talking about appropriateness, though, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
And they're probably talking about a truly historic building as
Yeah.
opposed to
Correct.
all the new stuff that Clark is going on.
The intent needs to be to keep, going along the same lines we've already started. It doesn't make sense to change paddles in the middle of the stream here, but by the same token, I don't think we need to be completely overbearing. We just need to keep going down the same road.
I think formalization of some of these requirements would be an aid to everybody.
No, I agree.
It will, and the other part of it too is that they're more the criteria, the qualifications for people on the ARB. This is basically set up to get you certified local government status, which requires a certain amount of expertise. So next month I'll highlight that for you, but it requires a little more involvement in terms of getting the resumes of the folks that apply, being able to go outside the community to attract some of these expertise, the architects, the real estate folks, the artisans, other folks that would have an input. So
That being said, I don't think there's been a real decision made CLG one way or the other. So My suggestion would be with regard to the qualifications aspect, just take it verbatim, stick it in there,
Okay.
and we'll deal with it as an entire subsection as to
Okay.
whether we want to retain it or not at some time to review it.
Well, next month, if we can, then just have it more, if you can prepare for it, take about half an hour. I can just go through each one. And
Yeah.
I'll have the strike-through text for you, and then we can just mark out what we don't want. So,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
In that case, we'll just defer it again until next week, or
Okay.
until next month. Comp plan,
Still a continuation until we get through the...
historic district, yeah. All right.
I have been getting a lot of requests for signage. Sheets, the Foster's building, there's a lot of folks that are very interested in that. So what I've suggested is that they have their ideas, that they forward them to us so that we can look at it against the model
Yeah, I mean,
ordinance.
until we realize either a reduced or the same historic district, I mean, it's an exercise in futility to even address the sign ordinances until such time as that matter is disposed of. So,
Okay.
you know, I understand that they want to get moving with it, but until such time as those ordinances do or don't change, I mean, they're sort of, you know, they're gambling. So if they can wait, I would suggest they wait until that matter is finally resolved. Haymarket self-storage, we can't do anything with until the,
We can.
no, I'm sorry, I was thinking about the other one. Haymarket self-storage, where do we stand on their final?
So in the report that I have in the packet, we had multiple discussions with them about it. So what they had formally submitted is a request to change the definition section, special uses within the I-1 district, and also amend the requirements for special uses. This is the question about, do you pave your lot or do you not pave your lot?
Right.
And so what they're asking, add an outdoor storage specifically for non-motorized vehicles and equipment, adding an additional item in the special use permit for, again, specifically outdoor storage of non-motorized vehicles and equipment, and then exempting this use under the requirements for special uses, that they can use a crushed aggregate surface instead of concrete or asphalt.
And they have the final proposed text in here?
That's the text that they're proposing.
Okay. But it's in final form as far as they're concerned.
As far as they're concerned, I mean, I think we're going to need to massage it a little bit more, but it's
But
in
this
form.
is their initiated text?
Correct.
Okay.
What was ultimately determined about the runoff and stuff? There were,
Well, what they're describing, and this would ultimately be, if this is allowed, would be addressed during the special use permit. They still intend to treat everything that comes off that site, both the gravel and the asphalt surface. They were going to do the berm around it, both of them were going to channel. The big debate for them was the cost. They felt that the cost of asphalt for that whole lot was entirely too much. So this would allow them, part of the lot would be for the motorized vehicles, where all the oil and debris, if it leaked, would go into the storm system, and the rest of it will be gravel and
so a
silt.
treated storm system, I thought, was there
Correct.
something that would, they actually were going to try to collect that stuff, as I recall.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's proffers that ride with the land on that property, which require them to do a stormwater treatment system.
Okay.
So at this point, it's up to us to schedule a public hearing for their proposed text, correct?
Yeah, we kind of did this backwards a little bit since they came to you guys so much. Normally they submit their amendment, we go to council, council says we initiate it, sends it to you. Since they've come to you most of the time, I figured I'd just come back to you and say we got the application.
We can authorize it.
Okay.
Question, have they come into compliance with things they promised the engineer they would do while we were in the process of waiting for this?
I talked to Holly today. She said she called them and vented her frustration. This was a negotiation during these multiple discussions we had about it. They were supposed to pull all vehicles out of the RPA. And all except for one apparently had that happen, but I've not heard back from Holly whether or not she's actually seen that.
Well, we were told all but one has, but upon inspection of another parcel, we saw how nothing had been moved.
Okay.
So since that time, do you know if they have come into compliance and moved any of these?
No, I just know that Holly spoke with them directly.
Okay. I'll confer with Holly tomorrow.
Sorry about that.
In that case, since we're going to be initiating this,
Now, this is for the partial paved, partial crushed gravel,
Correct.
correct? Okay.
and this only regards section 58, 258, and 260?
And 58-1.
58-1. Dash 1. 260. In that case, I would entertain a motion to initiate a zoning text amendment of sections 58-1, 58-258, and 58-260 of the town code.
So moved.
Excuse me, I forgot to amend that to an applicant's rezoning, or applicant's zoning text amendment.
Still moved.
Second.
All in favor? Roll call.
Aye.
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 Without objection, I'll instruct the clerk to publish a public hearing notice for this property contingent upon the applicant paying all the applicable fees and coming into compliance with all outstanding E&S requirements and the town engineer's requirements prior to the placing of such ad. Without objection.
Oh, no objection.
1 mile notices.
No, I can't be handed.
I discussed those in my planner report.
Face offs in 30 minutes. Entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
I saw you with your jersey on.
It's going to start.
Subtlety's one of your strong points.
What happened last night?
At the end of the game?
Yeah, I heard.
Porn.
Oh, it was just ridiculous.